to the Dream Journal. From the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, the Dream Journal is a weekly show where we explore the power of nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with you. In the words of Carl Jung, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Okay, this morning's music is called Phantomizer. Thank you to Rick for this new music. Today, an Anima dream series and personal neurobiology. Also, dreams about love, and just in time for Hispanic Heritage Month, Mexican-American male identity formation. A conversation with John Valenzuela, PhD. I am your host, Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. The Dream Journal is also a weekly podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite platform. But most importantly, tell your friends. We are on a mission here at the Dream Journal to get people talking about dreams. You can find the archives at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and also at ksqd.org/the-dream-journal. And we are now on PRX, Public Radio Exchange. So if you subscribe there, look up the Dream Journal. All right, well, I'm going to start with my personal dream work. Yesterday morning, I woke up swimming in the ocean, waves breaking, sliding up onto the beach and sliding back down, almost like an otter. And with me is a young man, like mid-teens, red-haired boy, and we're just playing in the water. So that's where I'm at today. We'll be taking call-ins during the last 30 minutes of the show. You can also email us anytime at ksqd.org. That's on air, ONAIR, at ksqd.org. John Valenzuela earned his PhD from Pacifica Graduate Institute's Clinical Psychology program. His dissertation explores dreams and their symbolic connections to Aztec culture. His work explores the intersections between Jungian archetypes and neuroscience. You can find out about John Valenzuela at mentalwellnessdoctor.com and at Instagram at integrated.dreamwork. Okay, so I met John Valenzuela at the Ashland conference in June, and he was giving the talk immediately before mine, in fact, and I was definitely captivated by his stories of the series of Anima dreams that he had, as well as the discussion of personal neurobiology. You know, I've always been curious about the animus thing. I am not a trained Jungian, and I have my own meanings for anima. Animus is like the male and female archetype. Like the why don't you say a little bit more about what that means, anima and animus, and then I'd love to hear just a little bit about some of your Anima dreams, a series that you shared at the conference, which showed this progression in the relationship with a particular female archetype. So John, let's talk about what does the anima and animus mean, and how has it been meaningful to you in your dreams?
Well, thank you. Yes, the anima and animus in Jungian psychology can be seen through the lens of female and male, but these days we are not trying to gender identify with those types of terms that sort of have traditional cultural meanings. The anima and animus, to me, feel more of autonomous, spiritual connections in our dreams.
Thank you for that, because it does seem very gendered, and yet I appreciate your perspective on that. The autonomous spiritual beings. Is that what I heard?
That is what you heard, okay. And I would also say more about that through the work that I've done on my own personal dreams, as you saw at the conference, where there may be a figure in a dream that is female and represented in real life, and that person, connects to in our dreams can shift over time. And that's really what Jung had identified with his own work with Philemon.
Yes. Okay. Right. So we're talking about the red book here with Philemon and I've forgotten the female. There was also a young woman that was part of that.
Yes, and definitely he spoke about Philemon in the Memories, Dreams, and Reflections.
Ah, that too. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So interesting that we have the relationship to these beings in our dreams, and sometimes, as in your case, that they take on the face of somebody we know from waking life, a particular person. And just before we get into what your series of dreams actually was, is there anything about whether the differences between the kind of archetypes that do have a face of somebody we know from waking life versus someone we don't know from waking life?
Well, there are parts of us that are connected to in our relationships, and that's an important connection that we want to explore. That connects to different emotional states, different memories, different experiences. The other types of people also connect to those same states in different parts of us that may be more like amalgamations of figures in our life. And maybe they're a little bit more distant. Maybe they're a little bit more fantastic than the people that we see in these dreams that have real-life representation.
Okay. Okay, so, but they have the similar experience for the dreamer. There's a similar reflection of the evolution of the dreamer, right?
That's correct. I feel like the Anima figure that I've seen in my life over 15 years, 20 plus dreams of her kind of coming in, has evolved from this sort of fantastic mythological form to a more reality-based person, but not in the person I know. I don't know anything really about her in real life anymore. So she is much more of a figure in my dream world, in my personality landscape, than she is a real person.
Okay. And would you like to give a few examples of some of these dreams, maybe as just an idea of how these images evolve?
Absolutely. The first dream I had with this character was from 2008, and we were riding bicycles over a mountain of boxes, and we're coming out from top of the mountain to the side of the mountain. We're trying to leave the mountain, and these boxes, are just normal boxes. So then she falls, and I have to take care of her. And when I have to take care of her, I have to carry her down the mountain. That's 2008. But then to more present, 2022, I had a dream about her where I'm with my family at Universal Studios, and I'm looking for her. And I'm looking for her in a pool. I was thinking about your dream that you just mentioned this morning. In a pool I was looking for her, and I couldn't find her. And I was looking for people who might know where she is, and nobody knew. And what became really fascinating is the work I did with this dream is I didn't know I was her in the dream, because my dream ego wouldn't know that. But as an anima, as we think about these autonomous figures, they are parts of us.
Parts of us, yeah. So okay, so this is like the part of you then. So the manifesting in the feminine.
That's correct.
Right. Although you made the point at the beginning that is not gendered. Like, is there a way that humans are gendered more than God is? If you like that term. God is, that humans are accustomed to seeing gender, so maybe we kind of pick up on gender in our dream figures, which may or may not actually be there. Because it's interesting you're talking about as autonomous beings. They have some reality beyond our dreams. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct.
Wow. Okay. Yep. I've certainly had a sense of that, of like building a relationship with something that seems beyond myself. So there is the aspect of myself in this figure, and also there's some aspect of something outside of myself. Is that right?
Can I come back to your dream?
Yeah,
for a
please.
minute? From
That'd be fine.
this red-headed boy.
Yes. Yeah.
You're there with this boy in the ocean.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how would that manifest as part of yourself in a way that is maybe a spiritual or a connected life force or life energy? Where's the interconnectedness between you two?
It has to be a very different dream if I were playing by myself.
Correct.
Yes. So, well, I could mull that over. I have not thought about that idea. So there's something relational about this. So we keep like looking at each other and laughing, and that there is like this. And then sometimes he's higher up the beach than I am, and sometimes I am, and we're just dipping into the ocean and following the waves and kind of riding the waves up onto the beach in a way that wouldn't really work in waking life, but in the dream it made total sense. But there's something relational, like trading places, getting one's higher, one's lower, and I don't remember touching, but we definitely were looking at each other and a lot of laughing.
A lot of mirroring.
Yes. Absolutely. And sometimes that's not the case. Like there's characters in my dream when they offer me something lovely, and I get scared and I think it's a threat.
Absolutely. In this one, you're at the ocean, at the edge of the ocean, between the ocean and Earth. You're on the beach.
In the liminal space, yes.
Yes. So there's definitely something coming into that experience between you two at that liminal space.
Right, and it's very fiery because of the red hair and the youth of this man, this young boy. I don't even know. The age is a little murky, but kind of the mid-teens, perhaps. And so there's a lot of vitality.
And I wonder when we can go on about this dream for a little while, but I want to get back.
I'm sure, but now I'm curious about the whole series, like the idea of the evolution of the relationship, and I wonder if where do you want to go next with this, John?
So, yes, throughout this relationship, there was a sexual tension with this particular dream character. And so that's an interesting part of our own psychology, of our own drives and desires, as Freud would have been all over this sort of dream to suggest that there's a sublimation or this latent part of ourselves that's maybe being fantasized about in that way. But Jung and others would say it's much more archetypal. There's much more of an energy force within the character, and if you could tap into that energy force, then there's an opening into what I would identify as love. Plus with the character who's in real life, you might imagine like that dreamer goes, "Oh, I should try to have a relationship with that person in real life."
Right.
Gosh. Right. And that makes a whole lot of sense. But in the archetypal world, if you have a relationship with somebody as powerful as an anima figure, you are not doomed, but you're gonna open up this whole can of sort of archetypal energy that is very overpowering to the individual psyche.
And so you don't necessarily recommend initiating romantic encounters with any waking life person you meet in a dream, or
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, so because there is something that that is tapping into that is not necessarily about that waking life person.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I was scared of that in these series of dreams. I was scared that there would be, a loss of the archetypal energy, if there was some engagement with the real life person.
Okay, well, I'm curious to hear more about love. You talked about, so this is what we mean by love, or I wonder if you want to say a little bit more about that and how dreams explore that. I mean, you shared a couple of dreams from your series and talking about the evolution, how things evolved.
Definitely. So in that Universal Studios dream, I love the name of the context of that dream. When I was in in the dream itself, I had no idea what was happening. So I came out of it, though, and then a couple of days later, I went to my therapist, and we talked about it. And I'm sure you're familiar with a little bit of what's called focusing or somatic embodiment.
Eugene
right?
Gendling, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was one of the founders of that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So in the dream work that I'm working on through this particular dream, I felt heavy. I anchored. I breathed. I allowed my body to relax, and then I went into the dream and connected with my dream ego and looked around. But because I was in this place of dual awareness, which Dan Siegal, a mentor, talks about, being able to connect to something in the past while in the present, and using focusing, I was able to see through the Anima's eyes.
Okay.
Okay, and then in that experience, I felt this immense love.
Ah, okay. Oh, interesting. From the Anima, from the woman in the dream, from that perspective, you were able to feel the love.
That's correct.
Okay. And yet, from the dream ego perspective, it's more difficult to feel love. There's all these barriers we have to love in waking life. And this ego.
That's right. This attention. We need to pay attention. I was walking around. I'm looking for her. I don't know where she is, and maybe I'm feeling like. I think in that particular dream too, I was feeling a little like an air of superiority. But then when I went back, you see what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Well, those blocks to love that we need to remove to get there.
That's right.
Okay. All right. So that's and so is there a goal or an end to this? I mean, this thing about the evolution of these characters, these relationships to the characters in our dreams. Are there I guess let's start with this. Are there like stages? Are there typical stages people go through? Or do each people have their unique wounds that they process through these dream relationships?
The literature in the Anima research, I think Mary Louise von Franz speaks to this development of a relationship to the Anima in our waking life may evolve from somebody who is much more of a siren or a muse to somebody who's more like a Sophia, or somebody who's more like an archetypal character or mythological character of somebody with the wisdom. So, but it would be individual. So it would be connected to one's own past and one's traumas and where one is at in their lives.
Okay. Right. And so it's just an ideal, like the ideal of what we're approaching is never going to be attained, but we can always get closer, I guess, to some kind of an ideal.
And again, I think the Anima is one of the many of the characters in the archetypal dream landscape that gives us a connection to many parts of us. So maybe it's the mother. There's another, part of us is the mother. Another part of us is the hero. Another shadows and tricksters, and so all of those kind of feed into our personal growth,
right?
Where we can relate.
Well, John, let's turn a little bit to personal neurobiology. Like, how does this, so there's something evolving in our psyche. I love the way you call it, the personality landscape, through these series of dreams with various figures. And does that mean that our brain itself is evolving, or what is that? How does this tie in with neurobiology?
Thank you. Exactly. That was my very question. Over 3 or 4 years after I met Dr. Dan Siegal, author of Mindsight and Brainstorm and several very good books on interpersonal neurobiology, which seems like a very nice phrase for some academic discipline, but rather it's more of a science of consilience, which is a science of bringing together several disciplines, several scientific disciplines, and I know that there's math and physics and clinical psychology and neuroscience are all sort of integrated into this one term, interpersonal neurobiology. So, in what his goal is, and what the goal of this field is, and there's many people who are involved to bring these sciences together. They speak about trying to understand the human experience with similar terminology, or a way to develop a sense of talking about our experience through common terms. So, for instance, he often brings up a question of what is an emotion to a group of scientists in various fields, and nobody can agree on a term.
Yes.
So right? So we can try to find a definition, but in that work of consilience, the group did decide that the term that seems to fit the best is integration.
Oh, that emotion is integration? No, I'm not. I missed it. What do you mean integration? How do you follow?
That's correct. Oh. Right. That emotion. That these scientists can say, okay, we have our definitions, but to agree on a common term that seems to fit what they observe in their own perspectives can also be called integration.
Okay.
So I'll give you, I'll fill that out a little bit more. For interpersonal neurobiology, there are 9 domains of integration. And those domains of integration are about how we connect to different parts of our lives, whether it's interpersonal integration or state integration of the emotions and motivations. Also, vertical integration. Vertical integration would be the connection between mind and body. The horizontal integration would be the connection between left and right hemispheres of the brain.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So integration can be an experience of, I'm processing a image of a tree, for instance, from my left brain, and it's very bare. It doesn't have really a lot of leaves on it. There's no sunshine. But if I'm processing an image of my right hemisphere, for instance, I might see the sunlight, or I might see the grass underneath the tree. I'm really filling out this image. So if I'm with both, I'm integrating this emotional experience of 2 hemispheres kind of coming together in that way. So that would be an example of how integration would be a part of our consciousness, where we're not limited to understanding just the tree from the left brain perspective or from the right brain perspective. We actually need to have both to really feel into that experience with greater detail.
I can see that. It's really important. And how do dreams help with this?
There's a dream, for instance, where a lot of people have when you're walking somewhere and you're searching for something.
Yeah.
You're in a landscape, for instance, like the beach, and there's no, you're looking for something to do. You're looking for a object. You're looking for a plane ticket. There may be something important to find, and you can't find it. So there are pretty clear signs that in the brain during dreaming that we have a call for a neural response, which is a somewhat of a neurological way of saying a search. So
right.
When we have right, we ask the other parts of our brain to go, hey, look, I'm looking for this thing. Is anybody up there finding it, or do we have it? Do you know where it is? No, I don't know. This other part of my brain is going, I don't know where it is either. And so in our dream and our experience of that, we're trying to find. We're having these calls for neural response all the time, and so I would suggest, like in somebody who brings a dream into my office, that we would look, okay, what are the other parts of your mind and your awareness or experience that you might actually bring into that call for a neural response or into that search. For instance, somebody a few days ago came in and said, I have a return ticket to go somewhere, but I can't find it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an attempt to go to a hotel, and I can't find the hotel. I can't find my phone to call the hotel to find my ticket to get home. So there's this ongoing sense of call for neural response, and there's no one coming to the rescue there. So you come out, you go to a therapist or somebody, and you talk about this dream, and then you work on that. You search for those things that you might not have been able to find in the dream life.
So even if you don't know what it is you're searching for in waking life, like in the dream, it's clear I'm trying to return, which, I don't know, for me, it brings up ideas of going home or feel the sense of home, feeling of home. But it seems like maybe it's not even necessary to know what it is I'm looking for, but there's some kind of a search going on in my dream.
That's right.
And in my brain as well.
That's right.
One thing that is kind of a theme for me is to notice these helpful figures, and that very often when I'm in a state like that, I have many dreams like that, looking for something, trying to find. There'll be somebody who's got their hand out, and I just kind of rush on by. But then later I go, oh, somebody was helping me there.
Yes.
And I can then, in a waking state, go back and go, oh, there is help.
And I might even go back to Jungian psychology on that one and go, what, who's the anima or animus for you in that place?
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. Okay, wonderful. So this is John Valenzuela, and I want to, after the break, talk more about the formation of identity in Mexican Americans, which males in particular. I want to talk a little bit about that work that you did. There's some research on that, and then we'll talk some more about the anima and animus dreams. We're broadcast live from KSQD Studios in Santa Cruz and co-broadcast live in San Jose by KCXU. Welcome back to the Dream Journal. My name is Catherine Bell. Our guest today is John Valenzuela, PhD, and I want to let you know that next week we will be speaking about dreaming and consensus reality with Tina Tao, so you don't want to miss that. I want to share with you a recent iTunes review, Gem of a Radio Show on Dreams. I love the format for this radio show. Catherine is a lovely host. Why, thank you. And it's been fun to see her grow in this role. I always learn something listening to her show. I definitely encourage you to check it out. So thank you so much. Are you dreaming? So I'm talking today to John Valenzuela, and we're talking about anima, animus dreams, love. And we have a caller on the phone. It's Rochelle from San Diego. Let's get you connected. Okay, Rochelle, hello. Can you hear us?
Hi. Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
So I have a dream, and I don't know, like, I've been looking it up on Google, and it's not adding up.
Mm-hmm. Well, good for you for trusting your intuition. When if the answer is not right, keep looking.
Yeah.
So, John, shall we take a listen to this dream? What do you think, John?
Yes,
okay.
Definitely. Thanks for calling, Rochelle.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so I've been having reoccurring dreams where, let's say, I'm going on a date and, like, it's going good, or I'll be out with my family, or, like, at an amusement park, or maybe even the beach, and suddenly I'll be transported home, and I'll notice that, like, my teeth are falling out. And I don't know, it kind of freaks me out, and then I wake up and I'm like, oh, my teeth are still there, but what the heck, like, I was having such a good dream, and then my teeth fall out.
Oh, my goodness. Absolutely. And when you wake up from that dream, would you describe that emotion as fear or anxiety?
I feel sometimes it's more of a shock, because I don't know. I feel like as a kid, I remember all my teeth falling out, like, aha, tooth, I get to give it to the tooth fairy. But now when my teeth fall out, I'm like, oh, no, I'm getting old.
Oh, that's interesting. Right. So there's, as you just described, this connection between youth, childhood, and old age, and how this particular dream kind of comes out. You're being transported home in the middle of a date or in the middle of some fun activity. And gosh, if I were that young age again, I might be completely, I guess, feeling like there's something, I've lost something here, not just my teeth. I've lost this memory, or I lost this opportunity to go out with this person. Or if I'm old, gosh, I've had all those experiences, and I'm not sure I need it anymore. I'm not sure I need these teeth in this way, or there's replacements for them. So, Catherine, this is one of those dreams where I feel like there's a lot of identity kind of shaping happening.
Rochelle, how does that resonate for you? You are the dreamer. What was resonating?
I'm kind of shook. I kind of relate very much. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't think you guys would be able to read me that well. I was just calling it for fun, but now I'm a little...
Oh, well, take a breath. There's no hurry here, Rochelle. Just take a breath. This is beautiful that you're sharing. Thank you so much for trusting us and just trusting your intuition to give a call.
I know. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so what is speaking to you, Rochelle? Is it about the identity, or about the loss, the aging?
Yeah.
Came up here.
I think the identity and maybe the childhood part. Also, like with the people I've been going on dates with, I haven't, I don't talk to them anymore.
Oh.
So, I don't know.
Is there sadness about that?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'm not really sure how to cope with it, but I guess my dreams are like, here's you on a date with them. And then my teeth fall.
Right, something that is so stable in your mouth, right? These teeth, we take them for granted, and gosh, and they influence our ability to talk. And what would happen if we lost our voice? And what if we, in real life, in waking life, feel into that sense of sadness? And gosh, maybe I don't need to stop talking to these people. Maybe I need to continue working on finding ways to tell them things that I maybe regret not telling them in the moment, or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I might look into that. Thank you. I think I just need to hear that from someone. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Rochelle, thank you. And there's something about nourishment here. Just want to throw this in here, that the teeth are not in our mouth as hard. We can't properly chew things over. We can't nourish ourselves. And so there's like a tenderness here. Like maybe those dates were not nourishing to me, or maybe they were, but I didn't get it. I didn't let it in. It's just like, I just feel a lot of tenderness, Rochelle.
Okay, thank you so much for answering. I didn't know I would actually you guys would actually answer.
Oh, thank you. Well, feel free to give me an email or contact John if you want some follow-up. I'd be happy to chat some more with you about this, and I'm sure John would too.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care, Rochelle.
Bye.
Bye.
I love what you said there, Catherine, and that's such a metaphor, the falling out of the teeth for a lack of, nourishment, inability to nourish oneself. Yeah, that's an excellent place to go.
Well, I also, I was remembering one time when one of my teeth fell out in waking life when I was eating almonds or something like that, and I had a crown that came dislodged. It was at the front of my mouth, and I took a bite and it just crumbled, and it was the weirdest feeling, like an earthquake in my mouth, because it was like you say, the teeth are such a stable part of who I am. I take it totally for granted. I'm just like, okay, this is, the tongue touches the teeth, and then this tooth just tilted and fell out, and it was like I was like suddenly a stranger in my own mouth. And it made me think of that unsettling feeling of losing teeth in the dream. I have some childhood dreams about that, which are creepy and very intense. So, yeah.
And that's what I love about these dreams, and Rochelle brings up, a good point at the beginning. It's, where do I find a resource on how to work with this? And whether it's Google, AI, whatever, these books that we have give us some sort of explanation of what those symbols might mean. But I love to use the symbol books in a much more in a Jungian way, which is to amplify the meaning, to connect to what is culturally relevant in my life right now, or also historically relevant in my life, or even ethnically relevant in my life.
But then trusting the gut feeling. Like last week, we talked quite a bit about using AI to interpret your dreams and the pitfalls of that, as well as what's valuable. And one of the main things is to trust your intuition on that. I wanted to touch into the topic of identity, which you brought up there, John, and and how identity is almost like our teeth. Like it's something that's part of who we are, and we can take it for granted. And yet, I wanted to touch in a little bit about your work on cultural identity, and in particular the thesis that you described to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I want to share a snippet of a dream from one of my dream participants for my dissertation. We did research on for Mexican American men in midlife, and they were coming to the group with the expectation to talk about dreams. But actually, most of our work was done on thinking about our identity and being Mexican American. But the dreams were far beyond my understanding of how they connected us to that identity. And one particular image comes to mind where a participant who didn't have much of a dream work or dream understanding, but he's sitting in his car at the corner of this intersection in L.A. called Washington's Place in Centinela. And this one image is so profoundly connected to this identity piece. And what your listeners may understand, you probably already picked up, is that Centinela and Washington Place is in both metaphors for one being America, Washington's Place, that I think we can agree on. In Centinela is a word that you probably are familiar with, right, as being some sort of guardian.
Okay. In Spanish.
So, that's right.
Okay.
Like as a sentinel.
Sentinel. So it's at the intersection of these two identities. Sounds like.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay.
In somewhat of that experience of being the guardian of America, being here, under some sort of ethnic connection to my Mexican or American background, but really as I have to protect something here at this intersection. Now, intersection, too, is a beautiful symbol for cross-cultural, whether it's a cross or crossroads. We can find a lot of different historical references to that. But in Aztec culture, that reference connects to a symbol in Aztec language, and that crossroads becomes an even deeper level of connection to one's heritage.
Maybe you could say a little more about the Aztec culture and how that shows up. It's not something I know very much about, how that it was show up in dreams in a certain way, or it's just the symbols that are very different than the other symbols, or say a little bit more about Aztec.
That's right.
Please. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the crossroads in Aztec symbols would be there's 20 main symbols in Aztec, in Nahuatl, the Aztec language. So they're pictures. So that particular symbol, I'm not good at pronunciating the actual symbol, but that crossroads or crossroads in sort of an X form is one of those symbols. And so there's many other ways in which we can look at that experience as not just being the present consciousness or psyche's understanding of my responsibilities in this world right now, but it's also this historical lineage that I'm being responsible for. and that came up in the dreamers reports of his life, of being responsible for that Mexican or that ethnic heritage from going back to sort of Aztec times.
Right, because I mean, it is really a question for all of us: is how do we see ourselves? Like, what do we consider as our identity? And we're all a mix of different cultures, and also just different roles and family members. There's different things that we do, where our jobs and our families and our hobbies. That there's all these different things that we do, as well as like the cultural background. And so, what else did you learn about from this study? It sounds like a very interesting demographic of these Mexican American men.
That's right. It was very interesting, and I may not shift, but I want to bring in a different dream image that also connects to how dreams sort of connect to conflicts with identity. Right. It's nice to have those dream images that bring us into our cultural identity, but there are, I guess, where I go with that is in my personal dream work that I'm working on through interpersonal neurobiology, that I've had two dreams in my lifetime, one in 1993 and one more in 2021, where I'm in an art studio and I'm doing some art, and there's other people doing art, and I'm drawing, and they're drawing or painting, and I'm using black and white, and they're using colors.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Mm.
And so they're the metaphor that popped up for me in doing that work is they are the people of color. And I am not. And I am not. Right? And so whether it was, back in 1993, where I don't even know if we used the term people of color as a metaphor, but there it was when I'm looking back at this connection and how it evolved in my life. And I've always had, I think a lot of people do, have this need for inclusion, but we don't know how. We don't know how to integrate with people of color. Or I am a person of color, I'm Hispanic, and yet even that would be difficult for me to connect to at times. But in that kind of dream where I'm finding how do I integrate myself with the people of color, then I find more love about that culture or those people or the art of work itself.
Yeah, there's something about the color that these people around me are painting in color, and like if it were my dream, I'd be wondering, do I wish that I was using color too, or do I like doing the black and white? That's the kind of question that I'd be mulling over.
That's right.
Because maybe that's just what I need right now where I am, and that's the perfect thing for me, the black and white. And yet, on the other hand, maybe I'm kind of craving a little bit of color. And
yes. Yeah, different expressions. We all have different expressions, and but even in interpersonal neurobiology, they talk about identity integration, or what Siegal used to call the trans-inspirational domain, which is sort of the top, the final domain, and we know that the integration is happening sort of in the temporal parietal intersection of the brain on the right side, and we're trying to identify with a sense of self and a sense of connectedness. And so that piece is neurologically always in this way trying to bring more consciousness to that.
Yeah, I love that. Self versus connectedness. Like, that's another aspect of identity. How do I see myself? It's interesting. All the examples I gave were, there were selves. There was relationship in terms of families and things, but do I see myself as an individual, or I should say, and do I see myself as part of various collectives and various relationships?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Exactly.
So I start to see how this neurobiology idea can tie into all kinds of aspects of identity and how it might show up in different dreams. So this is the Dan Siegal's work, the neurobiology?
That's correct.
Okay. I might have to read up about that myself. I love that. I get educated by my guests, and then I get curious and go find out some more.
It's definitely a rabbit hole. I mean, there are other researchers in the field too. Louis Cozzolino, Alan Shore, Jack Pansky. It goes on, and even people like Gabor Mate, and one of my Ian McGilchrist, who's often on podcasts around. He's the master and his emissary being the left and right brain, and which one is dominant.
Yes.
And if I speak to this question really quickly of going back to the anima in this sort of autonomous sort of connection to our spiritual life, spiritual love, Dan Siegal's word mind sight is what I've identified as a very similar, if not identical, sort of concept that the more we explore our own mind, the more we have sight internally. And in the anima Jung work that is popular with Jungians is that's exactly what's happening. We're connected to all these parts. We're trying to connect all these parts of ourselves, and we need some sort of vehicle to do that. And Dan brings that back up with mind sight in the 21st century here.
Okay, sounds like a great resource. So, John Valenzuela, where do you live and practice, and how can folks get in touch with you?
Thank you. I'm a clinical psychologist in Ojai, California, just 90 minutes north of Los Angeles. But I am, writing a book on this subject. I'm getting a proposal out there. If you wanted to get in touch with me, you can find me on my website, mentalwellnessdoctor.com. And we can explore dreams further from there. That would be lovely.
Excellent. Yeah. So John, maybe do you have any final parting encouragements or thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Thank you. I want to reconnect to your dream and to Rochelle's dream and bring some love back into those spaces and updating the experience of helping you all find love in those dreams. Whether the redheaded boy sharing with you his adolescent youth
yes.
on the beach, maybe you need a little bit of that right now. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
I think I could use that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
John, this has been a delight. I hope to hear from you again soon.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for the opportunity, and I look forward to meeting with you again.
Great. Hopefully roll duck in 24 with the next IASD conference. We'll see.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes, exactly. All right. Thank you.
Take care now. Bye.
You too. Bye.
All right. So thank you for listening. The Dream Journal is produced at the studios of KSQD in Santa Cruz, and we are live every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific. You can follow the live stream at ksqd.org and then phone in with your own dream or question. The podcast is released on the Monday after the show. It keeps us growing when you subscribe, rate, and review. My name is Catherine Bell. You can find out about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com. Email me at catherine@ksqd.org. That's KATHERINE@ksqd.org. You can follow Experiential Dreamwork on Facebook and Instagram to find out about upcoming shows. I'd like to thank Rick Cleffel, engineer and music creator, and also Tony Rissimano for answering the phones. The intro music is Water Over Stones. Outro music is Everything Both by Mood Science. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, take a minute to write down your dream and bring it to the next Dream Journal.